that the Phenom, the Legend, the Deadman, the Undertaker has been announced to be entering the WWE Hall of Fame this year during WrestleMania season. And first and foremost, that lit up social media like you would not believe. Because Taker is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most respected man in professional wrestling today and possibly in professional wrestling history. There is no one out there that dares to say anything bad about Mark Calloway. And it's not like there's anything bad to say about him either way. That's just the rule that everybody goes through. He's a man who started in WWE back in 1990, 1991 during that Survivor Series pay-per-view debut. And since then he has made history. Like every single superstar out there, he's had his ups and downs. He's been a multiple-time world champion. In fact, at one point in his career, he was the youngest WWE champion in WWE history. Until Lesnar came in and Randy Orton and then The Rock beforehand. Again, those records are meant to be broken. He had that infamous Taker versus Taker main event. I believe that was at SummerSlam. He pretty much was the focal point and the protagonist of WWE's greatest story ever told, which was his longtime rivalry, his longtime tag team partner, his storyline brother, the man he's had multiple WrestleMania and other pay-per-view classics with. I'm talking about the Big Red Machine Kane, who is pretty much, in my mind, a shoo-in to induct the Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. In my mind, it should be Kane, Vince McMahon, number 2, and then number 3 should be Stone Cold Steve Austin, number 4, Shawn Michaels. Those are the 4 men that have been thrown around to induct the Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. Triple H is also comes to mind, but again, he'd be number 5 at some point to induct him. I really just want Kane to be the one to induct him, but all in all, since this announcement this past week, we all know how important the Undertaker is to professional wrestling, how important he is to WWE, how important he's been for the history, and how loyal he's been to the company over the past few years. So a lot of wrestling fans out there in the IWC started to throw around the idea that the Undertaker should be the only inductee into the Hall of Fame. And that, ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans out there, far and wide, that is a genius idea. Because like I said, he's the most respected man in professional wrestling. There's a reason for it. And if he gets to headline and be the only member of his class into the WWE Hall of Fame, if he gets to be the only one to get that luxury, so be it. Because he deserves it. And he's done so much for WWE at this point, so much for the WWE universe, that wrestling fans would not scoff at it. As a matter of fact, if they were to add somebody else to this class at this point, about to end February, going into March, heading into WrestleMania season, we're so close to April, they haven't announced anybody else as a part of the class. If they were to announce someone else to join that class, I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to disrespect anyone out there. But if they were going to do that, wrestling fans would lose their minds. They would go on Twitter, they would go on social media, and they would start doing their hashtags and start to get rid of this, which would just put WWE in some terrible, bad light. Taker is synonymous with WWE, he's synonymous with WrestleMania, with the WrestleMania streak, with Hell in a Cell, with all the theatrics that WWE has brought since Taker's debut has been because of the Phenom. And Taker has put guys over countless times. And he's done that because he has been loyal to WWE. And his Deadman character, the most iconic of all time. Now, his American Badass gimmick during the Attitude Era and the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression Era, I found it entertaining, and I found it like Taker needed to do that to evolve with the times and really get his footing back into what the WWE was at that point. But every time you just hear that gong go off in the arena, the lights go out, his theme, his music starts playing, that ominous, I think that's the word, ominous theme. You start to build up, you get those goosebumps. The fire starts to pour out of whatever equipment WWE has on the entrance. You got smoke all over the ramp, enveloping the entire camera angle that they're showing you on TV. I never got to witness that live, which is unfortunate. But again, you know, I got that feeling straight from right home. And his slow walk to the entrance, the slowest, most methodical entrance in WWE history, and it had a point, it had a meaning. It wasn't just thrown out there just because. It was actually there to serve the storyline, the character, everything the Undertaker did. I'm not going to say it was perfect, because nothing in this world ever is, but it was as good as it gets. And I'd be remiss if I don't talk about when Taker's WrestleMania streak was broken, but it had to be broken. And WWE did great business by having Brock Lesnar end the streak, and then you have Brock Lesnar still on his current run, on the best run of his career, part-time run, but best run nonetheless. He's still making good business for WWE, and they owe that to The Undertaker. So with that said, I mean, I could go on and on about Mark Calloway. Every single greatest match he had. Those two matches he had against Shawn Michaels, classic, instant classics at WrestleMania. Many argue the best WrestleMania matches of all time. Then you have the end of an era match with Triple H inside Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as special guest referee. His match in 2006 at No Way Out against Kurt Angle, which was pretty much very, how do I put it, very uncharacteristic for the Undertaker character at that point, at that time of his career, because Taker is a big man, and he wrestled like a big man for the most part. So when he faced off against Kurt Angle and he put on a wrestling clinic with him, it caught everybody by surprise, and it made a statement. He had his match against Batista in 2007, Edge in 2008 at WrestleMania, and then at SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell, sending him to hell, quote unquote. I mean, we can go on and on about what Taker's been doing. He put Brock Lesnar over. He put Jeff Hardy over in that ladder match on Monday Night Raw. He knew how to tell a story. And now, Taker, Undertaker, Mark Calloway, the Phenom, he's going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm hoping he's the only one in his class to do so this year, and I'm hoping this, and for the first time in my life, I'm actually looking forward to watching a Hall of Fame show, a WWE Hall of Fame production show, where you have Taker be the only member of his class. And like I said, you have all those five men. You have those five men I mentioned at the beginning of this segment, at the beginning of this show. You bring out The Rock. You bring out, I mean, even The Rock could induct Stone Cold Steve Austin into the Hall of Fame. You could bring out John Cena. You could bring out Batista. You could bring out so many superstars, so many wrestling figures out there over the years to come out and induct The Undertaker and talk and just give out stories about what Taker is all about and what he's meant to the wrestling business. And honestly, I couldn't be more thrilled, because I kind of feel like Undertaker might be the biggest reason I'm a WWE fan to this day. Because back in 2005, Yes, I'm Hispanic, I'm Latino, so I obviously supported Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, and they caught my eye. And I loved John Cena's Doctor of Economics rapping gimmick. That caught my attention. But the minute that I sat on my bed as a kid and that gong hit, the lights went out and Taker made his way to the ring. 10-year-old me, I was glued to that screen. I was enthralled. And this is coming from a guy who hates horror at this point. I wouldn't say hate, but I don't prefer horror over a lot of things. And Taker bringing all those horror aesthetics to WWE, it caused an impact on me, and I kept watching because of The Undertaker. So with that said, Undertaker, Mark Calloway, congratulations into going to the WWE Hall of Fame this year. More than deserved. And like I said, if hopefully that entire Hall of Fame show and that video package that WWE just produced for him, fantastic. Hopefully it's devoted entirely to you, and I'm looking forward to The Undertaker being in the WWE Hall of Fame. Because like I said, it's Taker and WWE. They go hand in hand, and that's just that. So with that said, I'm not going to pose a question. You as a wrestling fan, you know The Undertaker should be inducted into the Hall of Fame in his own class. You know you're going to watch that Hall of Fame ceremony. And you know that over the next, 35 days until we get to WrestleMania, we are going to all watch and go back through some of The Undertaker's classics, and maybe not so much, not so classics, just so that we can watch more of The Undertaker and the great send-off he had against AJ Styles 2 years ago at WrestleMania. So with that said, Taker, congratulations, well deserved. Thank you for all the memories. You deserve to go into the Hall of Fame. And if I could, I would turn the lights off right now and just pay tribute to The Undertaker.